Speaking of Google image search, right? This is like the first thing you'll see. It's all I've got, Lee. I can't draw. But the idea was, instead of focusing on just putting our energy into making one thing at a time, what if we could make kind of a machine that makes these things, like a process and a little creativity factory, or creativity perpetual motion machine to make salad dressing, or games. That would have been a better choice. Now I think about it, games would have been a better choice. So we started this thing called Amnesia Fortnite, which is called Amnesia because we forget what we're doing, forget whatever else we're working on, and it's called Fortnite for, I forget why. So it lasts about 2 weeks. Thanks. It'll be funny in the transcript, I bet. And we took a break from Brutal Legend, and we just split the company into 4 teams, and every team had to make a game in 2 weeks, a complete experience that was a test not only of that idea, but of the people. Like, Lee was working for us, and I was like, I bet Lee could do his own project. Let's just let's just give him 2 weeks to either be successful or kill himself, right? We knew we wouldn't have to worry about him killing me, either way. And it was a lot of fun, and not just a lot of fun, it was really invigorating for the whole team that had felt really oppressed by this 5-year, like, Brutal Legend, heavy metal world. It gave them a creative break, and it let everybody try out new things. We had some modelers try concept art, and people switched around, and it was just really invigorating. And it also gave us a bunch of games. A bunch of these games had come out of this process. Stacking, Costume Quest, and What's My Monster, Middle Manager Justice, and Trenched all came from this process. So we went from shipping 2 games in 10 years, in the last 3 years, we shipped over 10 games, including, also from Amnesia Fortnite, Space Base, available now on Steam Early Access. That did seem like I was fishing again for another applause, but I'll take it. The coolest thing about that is I got to meet Cookie Monster, but the next time we did it, we decided to open it up to the public. So we actually, instead of what was happening before, where people were coming to me with their ideas, and I would pick who got to lead a project, we now put all 23 pitches up on the internet and let the audience pick which 5 games we made, which was crazy. Anonymous came from, but you wonder, like, what some people say, like, why did you open it up to the public? Weren't you afraid they were going to pick the worst 5 games? And we had a lot of confidence in doing this because of something that happened earlier. So I'm going to back up. Something that made us a lot more open that started with this Kickstarter project that we did. This is a picture of us opening up the box of Amnesia Fortnite, which is smoking. And I know what you're all asking. What's Kickstarter? Everybody now knows what Kickstarter is, but a year before we actually did a Kickstarter project, I got this email from Brandon Boyer, who was saying, this friend of mine works at this company, Kickstarter, and they think you should kickstart a game. And I said, what's Kickstarter? I had no idea what it was. So I asked our biz dev guy at the time, and he said, it's a crowdfunding model. I've seen it work for small games, like 50K, but it's completely impractical for something of this scale. So, I mean, he's not our biz dev guy anymore, but that's just kind of where we are mentally at the time. We're like, this will never work. This is crazy. But then we were approached by 2 Player Productions, who had made a documentary about Minecraft, the story of Mojang, and you should watch it. They had interviewed me for it. And then they came back to us and said, hey, you're really good looking on camera. Can we do a documentary about Double Fine? And I thought, that is a great way to get a lot of attention, which is all that I really want. So, but I also wanted, I wanted to show people 2 things about game development, both that it's really, really easy and really, really hard. Like, sometimes their favorite game or a game they didn't like because it didn't have, they just enable multiplayer. They had all the characters, and you're like, it would have cost a couple $1 million what you're talking about. And I really wanted people to know everything that went into a game to kind of open the doors and let them see. But I also wanted to show them how possible it was, and that people who were definitely not much smarter than them and making Aris and some of these games, and I was like, no. Professional games they're made by like scientists and lab coats, these huge companies, and robots assemble them or something. I just thought people, totally different class of human beings was making these games. And I wish I had known then, and I wanted to show everybody that no, it's just people just like you making this game. But I had this problem of, I really want to show everything then. I want to show us having a meeting where everyone's uncomfortable because we're talking about the budget or we're fighting or well, this person, you know, these things that happen in every game production. But I thought if we had a publisher, they would, you know, their PR group would be like, we want to control this message and only show the positive parts. They really don't want to show, for example, that you cut stuff out of your game. Because then people think, I didn't get my money. I didn't get my money's worth out of this game. You cut something, or you'll show a piece of concept art, and then you change that character. So what if someone likes the original concept art? It's not open the doors. And that's a standard thing that we're used to. When we're working on a game, we ask for a lot of money, as we see there. So this is just showing that we decided to do it. This is how much money we asked for the documentary, $100,000, and then $300,000 for the actual game, which we were totally scared. It was bigger than we thought we were going to get, just run out of town for asking for so much money. So we decided to kickstart a game and a documentary, just so that we would have anyone who could, is that still happening? Maybe this one. No? Oh, he's running. Are you running at me? No, that battery is dead. Okay. I'm just going to keep going with this one. Yeah. It's probably my beard scratching on it. And we wanted to make a game so we'd have complete control over the message, and we can show the dark side and the positive side of making a game. But we didn't want to just say, hey, we want to make a game, give us some money. And I was thinking about adventure games, which is why I was making games in the first place. And people, as we mentioned in our pitch video, people really do mail me and contact me and say, you should make another adventure game like you used to make in the 90s. And I'd say, well, publishers won't give us any money for that because they don't think that anyone will buy them. And people would say, well, I'd buy one. And I'd be like, well, okay, that's $30, so we need to make a few more of those. So wouldn't it be great if there's some way that the internet could collect all those $30 for us and put them in and make an actual game budget, which turns out to be exactly what Kickstarter does. And it surprised us all. You can see even my daughter's pretty surprised by how much we made. Because right before this meeting, yeah. Hey. Right before this party, my daughter was like, 1.5, Dad, max, right? Anyway, it was this huge success, and it was really this big. It was a crazy thing, and it was here, I got to show a chart just because you have to have a chart in a PowerPoint. I'll just move over that quickly. But it's not like we invented Kickstarter, obviously, and we weren't even the first Kickstarter game. It just did make a difference, though, because you can see that one green thing is much bigger than the other green thing. But it was incredibly emotional for me, just like in the ending of It's a Wonderful Life. It's like this movie where, you know, George Bailey is working really hard and he feels like, oh, what's it all about? And he gets in some trouble. And in the end of it, I don't want to spoil the end of It's a Wonderful Life, but you've had like 50 years to watch this. So just, well, not all of you. The whole town gets together and they give them all this money. But the reason that you feel like crying at the end of the movie is more just that they cared. They came out and they're like, we care about what you've done, George. Here's some money. And that was really great, you know, personally for me, but it was also huge for the whole team. Even people I knew who knew they weren't going to be working on this game, they just felt all this love coming in from the community, and it made everyone super, super happy. And we'd had a tough year where we had a project canceled, and you know, it was like it was really great to get that success there. And then the thing that was even more I learned about, it was very surprising, was that this turned out to be a great, motivating thing for the fans themselves. Here's a picture of a fan. When we saw on YouTube some of these people making these videos talking about what our Kickstarter meant to them, and how they felt empowered by it because they feel kind of mistreated as players. It's like big publishers think that we're just pirates and you put all this horrible DRM in all your games and you think we're just going to steal everything, but here's something we don't even have to pay for, and we're going to give you a whole bunch of money, even more money than we would have spent if you know. And so everyone felt like incredibly empowered by this whole experience, and it was really great. And here's a picture of me. And then it totally changed our whole company because we're making this documentary, we're showing everything, and what gave us the courage to do that was this tidal wave of love that we got from the community. And it got us to open the doors. And this is just a little background. So this is me at Skywalker Ranch. This is where Jar Jar was invented, right here. And the reason I'm in this picture, besides obviously sexing it up, was that it's the rule, if you're at Skywalker Ranch, you have to be in the picture that you take. Any picture that you take, the employee that invited you there on a tour has to be in the picture. And that's so if the picture ever leaks out on the internet, they know which employee to fire, because you're not supposed to be doing that. So, and I think that's totally, well, I don't want to say totally rational, but I mean, it's totally, you can see where at Lucasfilm that's important because they have so many crazy fans who want to steal the next script to the next Star Wars movie. They had to be really, really protective of their secrecy. Is that the new, latest, greatest, next level microphone? No? Okay. Check it out, he says. Hey, check this out. Hello. Oh my. Let's start over from the beginning. Hello. ¿Qué tal? Am I saying that wrong? Okay, so the background I came from was that secrecy is super important, and the way that you do PR for games is you keep it secret. You keep everything secret until you're ready to announce and get a big splash, and you control everything. It's like every 5 years or however long it takes you to make a game. It's like having Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but the gates are closed and everyone's wondering what's in the gates, and then you swing the gates over and everyone comes in and buys chocolate. But we're going to do something really, really different, which is to let people film everything that we did at the company and share it, which is crazy. Here's the title screen from our documentary. And we started making Broken Age, the game that Lee Petty's the art director on. And it's been crazy because have anyone seen the documentary? Has anyone watched the documentary? Oh, awesome! Thank you for backing, or somehow getting the video some other way. And we started working on this game, and so we saw first the extreme positive reaction to being out in the open, that people felt bought into the process. We thought, oh, they'll judge us or they'll hate us if we show them concept art, or what if we show an animation that's only a rough animation? They might say, and some of them did on the forums, people would say, that's terrible, this game has terrible animation. And we're like, we told you it was rough animation. It's an animatic and it's supposed to be rough. And the animator's like, oh, I hate this. But we kind of put that and they were learning on our forums. They're like, this is just, they talk amongst themselves and they kind of figure out this is just rough animation. And it was really great. But where this started to, we saw the first negative side effect of this is when I started getting really into making this game, and it was no longer just a game to make for the reason of making a documentary about it, but this was like starting to remind me what it was like to make an adventure game again, and how I used to think about puzzles and worlds and what it was like to play an adventure game, and what a good puzzle was versus a bad puzzle. And I started getting really into it, and I said, okay, the design is done, and then the design was like twice as long as the budget. It was the money we had. It was like really, really big. And so we're like, well, I guess we should cut this in half. But what I felt the people who were backing our project wanted was that full game that I was seeing in my head. And we had some opportunities in the last few years to self-publish, which besides the money coming in from our Kickstarter was a great thing. I met an angel investor on Twitter named Steve Dengler, who allowed us to port Costume Quest and Stacking to PC, and we could put that out there and actually get to keep more of the money that we made, and doing games like Space Base with the Indie Fund, getting just an alternative to the standard publishing deal that really allowed us to actually keep money, which was amazing for us. And so we could actually make a choice to invest our own money into our own games now. And so I said that will allow us to not have to cut this game in half. We'll put all our money that we made off Brutal Legend PC and put it back into making Broken Age the full game that I felt that our backers wanted it to be. And that still seemed a little financially tight. Like, could we make it all the way to the end? We can use this new Steam early release system to release the first part of the game and fund make sure that we made it all the way to the finish line. But I realized that was kind of a tricky thing to tell people, because although after thinking about it for a long time, I felt like it was the right thing to do, would people feel like this was a bad idea? But so we talked to our backers about it. We all ate a giant pile of ice cream to get in the mood, and we put up our forums, and our backers, you probably can't read that, can you? The backers were like, the first one says, sounds great. And the second one was, sounds okay to me, Chief. Remember how they called me Chief, because they'll call me different things later. Sounds like a plan. That's a good idea to get some money to finish the game. And then the last guy's like, go for it, guys, any which way you can, right? So this is the difference between our community and our backers and people on Twitter. So people on Twitter who were, it's probably good that you can't read that one if you can't read that one. But people on Twitter who are primarily not our backers, and it might be too clean to separate this by backers and not backers. There were some backers who didn't like it and were upset, but it was like 99% of them were very positive, and 99% of our non-backers were like, WTF. The first one was like, if Double Fine can't deliver an adventure game for $3 million for their fans, the fans freely gave them, they should shut their effing doors. Tim Schafer asked for more money apart from the $3 million already received from Kickstarter to finish the game. In my old days, that was called a scam. And this is the thing that drives me crazy, is that we weren't asking for more money from our backers. One day, I too will scam people out of $3.3 million and blow it all on hookers, just like my hero, Tim Schafer. That one is true. And this one I love. Tim is the Alan Moore of video games. I love the things he makes, but I also kind of want him to get beat up for being such a douche. That guy, that little canned ham face guy, calling me a douche. Sorry, I mean, hey Lily. And this one is really telling. So if Tim Schafer can't get a game made with $3 million, F off, and people don't get why I hate Kickstarter. And this is a whole new thing that I didn't realize, because Kickstarter has been such just a big love parade. Yeah, you know, big, like, yeah, it was great. Such a positive thing for us. How could anyone hate Kickstarter? And a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people just think it's like a Ponzi scheme, like a scam. And I think that comes from a different way of looking at it than I look at it. They see it as a pre-order system for a product, and I'm promising everyone a product. Give me your money in advance, and they'll deliver on their product. And that's not at all what Kickstarter was founded for, or how we looked at it. Anyone who does a project on Kickstarter or any crowdfunding source is saying, whether you're doing pottery or a dance routine or whatever, or a game, you're saying, I'm an artist and I want to make this art. Here's the project I want to make. I would love it if you could support me. And then when someone supports your project, you're saying, thank you for backing me. Here's what I can give you. I can give you this t-shirt, or I can give you this copy of the game. And it's a really different mindset from how a lot of people look at it, like you're promising to make them this awesome sandwich, which is not the case. So there's a lot of this Twitter feelings, but I think one of the most important things, it's really hard when you're exposed to the raw internet out there. You can get a lot of just random hate or thought out hate or just hate in general. And the problem to me is that it distracts you from all the really positive stuff you get. You can think that these are all the people out there who are yelling at you all the time, when there are really so many other people. But even like in press articles written about the game, they would have headlines like Double Fine is out of money, which was not true. But then what happened was we had all these backers. Here's a picture of our backers at a fan meetup. Plus Greg. And for the first time ever, the comments were easier to read than the articles. Like, they had this horrible article, and the comments, like, you know, even on Kotaku, were just like, this is actually not what's happening. They're not asking for more money. We're actually getting a bigger game, and we don't have to pay them anymore, and all this stuff. And it was like, it was so crazy to have this like cavalry, this community come to our aid and educate people about what was happening instead of us having to go in. And it was amazing. And I get all like, when I talk about it, I get all choked up about it, but it's just crazy to like have someone rush in and have your back, right? So here's some more pictures of backers. It's like, you feel like it's just important to know that when you're doing a Kickstarter, you're not just getting money, you're getting this just love and support from all these people, which is amazing. So there was some downside. We had to give some refunds. During that period when the hottest, like 2 or 3 weeks of it, we had to give $600 back. Because when anyone asked for a refund, we just gave them the refund. But during that same period, we also had like a little tip button on our website, and in that same period, we made $4,000. So if anyone plans to ship obviously, I've learned nothing from this experience, because I just like, slip the schedule, you'll make $4,000. But I've learned nothing. And I want to, as I come to an end, like put this picture up to show that like, this is kind of what I experience now with our community. It's just this constant love fest where people are coming up like, I hope you don't mind if I tell you that I like your game. And you're like, why would I mind that? Give me a hug. And so, and the main point of this slide is so everyone knows I met Rob Halford from Judas Priest also. Cookie Monster and Rob Halford. It's about when I started this talk, and I talked about why I make games and where the ideas come from, and it's about wanting to pull people into a fantasy world. That's all true. And your inspiration coming from books and movies that you read, that's all true. But that thing about how when you make a game and I put that crazy line of dialogue in there that I can make someone playing the game feel less lonely, this has just been in the last year or two that I've learned that that's a two-way street. And it's your fans and your community that can make you feel less lonely, or at least let you know that you're not in it alone. And that's been just a huge lesson to learn, 90 years into my career. But it's meant a lot. So I would just want to say, in conclusion to all of you who are thinking about making a game or are making games right now, I just wish you well and hope that you have good luck, of course, financially in your businesses, also creatively, that you make games that are as good as you hope they'll be, but also that you can receive just 1/10 of the love that we got making this game, because it's just the greatest feeling ever. And so thanks for listening, thanks for backing, and thanks for playing. Thank you. Gracias. Thank you. And now I'm gonna dance for a while on the stage while I wait for people to come up and ask questions, because that's always awkward. I'll just make some fake questions. The secret of Monkey Island is that Guybrush is actually a woman. I don't know why that was so hard for people to figure out. Ron's gonna kill me. Don't tell him that I told you that, but that is the secret of Monkey Island. There's nothing else to it. I guess, okay, ready for some questions.
First, a warm-up question. How did you react when you found out an important news network of Argentina thought the teenagers were consuming GROG XD?
Did you get that question?
I missed the end of it.
Okay, so there was this TV channel in Argentina.
Oh my God, the GROG thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was until this moment, that was the greatest thing I knew about Argentina. Was that someone had spoofed a local TV station, but by sending the recipe for grog from Monkey Island in, and like, you will never believe what kids are into these days. They are drinking what may contain some of the following ingredients: red dye number 2, scum, and the lady red. You live here, you saw it. So right, I was incredibly happy. That to answer your question when I saw that. Yeah. And I think Dave Grossman, who had the same exact job that I had on that project, he actually wrote that whole thing about grog, and so I think he was probably 10 times happier than I was. But
I have 2 questions. First, how does it feel to get to be the boss of the guy who was your boss first?
Oh, with Ron?
Yeah.
See, that's what you're misunderstanding. Ron worked at Double Fine, but I was never his boss.
Okay.
He was just Ron's someone who gave me my start and hired me, and he came to Double Fine just because we wanted to make a game together, or work together in some way. Probably 10 years from now, I'll work at whatever company he's working at. But I don't think there was ever a single moment the time he was at Double Fine where I said, Ron, you gotta do something, because try that with Ron someday and you'll find out why. Should I sit on this couch over here? This will be more intimate. It's kind of like the Oprah show if I sit over here on this couch. Hi. Thank you. It's so great to watch that my daughter's busily playing an iPhone game and just so bored watching me up here yammer on. She can't even hear what I'm saying right now. That's fine. I have like 10 mics up here if you want an extra mic.
Hey, Okay, second question. I was in the humble bundle from the Amnesia Fortnite, and the question I have is, the white birch from Andy Good, is it ever going to happen?
What was the name of the game that you wondered about was going to happen?
The white birch from Andy Good.
Well, as soon as Amnesia Fortnite finishes, we like try to get basically every single game that we can made. In the old days, it meant we would take this roadshow on the, you know, this roadshow of games to every publisher with a little demo, which is really great because in Amnesia Fortnite we actually make a demo, which is amazing when you're trying to pitch a publisher instead of just a document. And so, like, I remember after the first two, we took Stacking and Costume Quest and Iron Brigade and Once Upon a Monster, and we actually showed all four of those games. But sometimes it takes a little time, and so I would say we've just announced that Space Base is being made from that group, and I think all of those would make great games. And I think I can say that we're pursuing all of them, but we can't announce or don't have anything definitive to say about anything else going on. But White Birch was really a great game that had a lot of ambiance, for sure.
Thanks a lot.
I appreciate you buying the bundle. Laura,
Hi.
Excellent painter, Laura. Hey.
Hi, how are you? I wanted to tell you that it's really good that you keep Chuck the Plant with you after a lot of the years. And
Did I keep who with me?
Chuck the Plant.
Oh, Chuck the Plant, yeah.
Yes, there is Chuck the Plant.
I hadn't got around to naming that, yeah.
The sister is over there.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you, I really like the cave that you worked again with Ron Gilbert. I really like all the old games. And I wanted to ask you if there's any possibility of working again with the musicians, like Peter McConnell, Michael Land. I really like the music of Green Fandango and Day of the Tentacle.
Yeah, I mean, the person in charge of the music for almost all the games I've made has been Peter McConnell, and he is working on Broken Age right now. He's doing the music for Broken Age, and I think when you hear it, it doesn't sound exactly the same, but it does make me feel what it was like to walk around in those games and hear that music. And Peter's just one of those really talented musicians who you can say something crazy to him, like, I want this thing that's based on Mexican folklore, but it's actually a film noir kind of jazzy thing, and he'll just like, you mean like this? And then play it. So, yeah, Peter is definitely still working with us.
Well, thank you.
Hi. First off,
Metallica. Awesome.
Yeah, I got to get down. Yeah. First off, I want to say thank you for all the games. I mean, basically my whole childhood was playing Day of the Tentacle without knowing a single word in English and just clicking on stuff, trying to make things happen. But also, my question is, what would be a good advice for starting a graphic adventure game for a small developer?
Advice for starting a graphic adventure. I mean, I think, let's see. That's an interesting question, because you've already decided to make a graphic adventure, so I can't stop you, so the first piece of advice is wasted.
No, I still haven't started. It's just things cooking in my mind.
No, adventure games are really rewarding and fun to make, especially if your first thing that you care about is story and characters. They're one of the first genres that really emphasize story and characters. But they are really hard to make. Hello. That's something I remembered. I just started remembering as we were making Broken Age. It's like, oh my God, these things are really hard. That's right, because you don't really leverage any systems. You don't make something once and then reuse it in different ways. Every single moment the player experiences in the game pretty much has been handcrafted, and so you want to make it have a lot of multiple endings, multiple solutions, but you have to craft all that stuff. So it's really hard to make those choices. So I think going into that, making some choices early on that help you with your economy later. Things that seem really small, like I'm going to make every frame of this animation, I'm going to make the character have just when you add little details, you remember that they're multiplied millions of times by the time you're finished the project. So when you look at the choices that Lee made with Stacking, he's like, I'm going to have one character model in the game, like different sizes for the exact same character model, and we're not going to have voice. And that eliminated, once you didn't have voice, you don't have to have lip sync, and it just simplified so many things. So he made his life a lot. I mean, no, it wasn't easy. It was still hard to get a game done, but it made it possible, right? So I guess keep in mind, even if you make a 2-week demo and it seems like it's working out and it has all this lush detail, is that scalable? Can you get the rest of the game done? I'm talking like someone who didn't just slip his project by a year, but I mean, you know what I'm saying.
But anyways, thank you.
Good luck.
Hi,
Hello.
I wanted to ask, I mean, adventure games and point and click adventure games, they tend, specifically from that era, Monkey Island and Green Fandango, they tend to have some really weird and strange ways of solving the puzzles. I mean,
You mean completely intuitive ways of solving puzzles?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, yes. So this seems like such a dumb question, but how was that train of thought? How do you think? I mean, we will use this lobster to open this lock. How do you come up with something like that?
Yeah, okay. It's always awkward to answer because I feel, look, the monkey wrench was not my idea. That's all I'm going to say. A lot of those games, the environment, try to imagine the environment that we were in the 90s, which is like really pre-internet. So we were not really engaged with anyone in the outside world. And we would make a game, we'd test it with people around the office, and then we'd ship it, and then we'd wait for like a printed magazine review to come back in, weeks later. And that was the only feedback we got on the game. We didn't really, until like near the end, like 95, we started getting into like, we'll check CompuServe for feedback. And they were really isolated, and that's how a lot of those games were designed. Was Grim Fandango was like 4 people sitting in a room for just 3 months, and we were just try and make 2 puzzles a day, and just try and talk through the story and where we wanted to go, and therefore what would the obstacles be, and then what would the solution to those obstacles be. But those solutions can be not the obvious solutions; they have to be the exact opposite of whatever the obvious solution is. They were trying to be not obtuse, but like if you have a key and it's sitting by a door, obviously the key's not going to open the door. That's just too easy. You have to stick the key in the light socket, and then once you're electrocuted, I don't know. You just like, I always try to make puzzle solutions that would sound funny if you're telling someone else what you're doing. Like, like you describe them, because that's the story of the game. That's what you're going to share with somebody else, is that, I had to go take this, I had to go change the American flag to look like a tentacle so that I could wear it as a disguise. Like that, hopefully, would feel fun to you once you solved it. And then try to make it fair by hiding hints for all those puzzles in the dialogue of all the characters, so that on first glance, the puzzle would seem impossible, but if you kept banging away at it and talking to everybody and looking at everything, someone would say something, hopefully would trigger your, oh, I know what to do. I got to use the lobster on the thing. Yeah, but there was no clue like that for the monkey wrench. It's totally unfair, and that was totally Dave's fault. No, I don't know who did that one. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi. After what happened with Broken Age, do you think that future games that you do could be designed and released through an episodic model?
Would we do like early access again? We're doing it now with Space Base, and it's doing really well, and we're really pleased with how that's worked out. I think it has to be the right game, though. Like I think doing an adventure game in 2 chapters makes sense as long as the story breaks there well. But I think certain games may or may not work for early access or episodic. Because it takes extra work. I was thinking about Broken Age as one complete work, and one thing that's great is when you're finishing a game, you're working on the last part of it, you can add something to the first part that makes the last part make sense. And if we had to plan for that, and so when we ship the first game, we've already found all those things that we want to retroactively fit in the first part. So not for every game, but being more open in general is, I think, something that we're definitely going to do.
Oh, thanks. Oh, could you tell JP Le Breton that he's the best person in the world?
Tell JP that he's the best person in the world.
In the world, yes, please.
I think, yeah, okay, I definitely will. JP, you're the best person in the world.
Thanks.
Hi. First of all, it's an honor to have the chance to ask you a question. So I'm going to take the chance and ask you. First of all, what do you think the future of the graphic adventures will be with the developers like yourself and Telltale Games and many others, like Randall's Monday developers, or another Europeans, even some Japanese?
What is the future of graphic adventures? I have no idea. I thought a lot of people just thought they would never hear about them again, and there's definitely been kept alive in various places. I find out about a new one every day, but I've really never been that really good at talking about what the future is. Like I never thought that Kickstarter thing was going to be successful, and I think what's interesting though is that people who like them have found a way to keep them going. And what used to be the problem we were trying to solve, I just noticed that Melee Island t-shirt over there, got a little distracted. The problem we were trying to solve was, when they started, if graphic adventures were one of the big genres along with other genres that came out. But I remember when Wolfenstein first came out, they started sensing this thing growing. That does, oh my gosh! And then when I think Mario 3 came out, and that market started growing, and then adventure games didn't grow alongside with that. They didn't grow as big as console games or first-person shooters, and they didn't really shrink either. But they were no longer as competitive with those other genres, and so that's what we used to try and think about was how do we make these adventure games compete with those other games? Maybe they need more shooting in them or something. And that never was really a solvable problem because that seems stupid to add that stuff to adventure games. But now, I don't know if it's because of Kickstarter, but by kickstarting it, it allowed all the people who did like them to pool their money together to make it happen and say, yeah, we do like this kind of game, and we don't want to be constantly under stress of being shot, and we want to find ourselves lost in a fantasy world, and they can make them happen. So I think as long as there are people who love adventure games, there will always be adventure games.
Thanks. And the last thing, who was the genius / and excuse the foul language, SOB, who does the alligator scene in Green Fandango? Like, you wait, with the undead and the underworld thing is gonna be scary, but you just completely lost your guard while catching in the history and the characters and the jokes and the adventure and the puzzles, and in one moment, giant alligator in front of your screen.
Wait, so I didn't get exactly what the question was.
Who thought of that scene, the alligator scene in Green Fandango?
Who thought about the what scene?
The alligator scene.
The alligator?
Yeah.
Who thought of the alligator?
The white alligator.
Who thought of the one alligator from Grim Fandango?
Yeah. The scene when the alligator comes right at your face and you totally don't expect it and you fell from your chair and hurt your neck in my case.
Wow, I'm trying to remember exactly who did that. I mean, since it was a cinematic moment, it may have been
exactly.
our art animation director, Pete Sekel, maybe came up with I want to storyboard this exactly like this. And as far as that puzzle goes, that was like those 4 crazy people sitting in a room deprived of oxygen, eating candy every day that came up with that puzzle. So it's hard to place exactly where it was. But that was one of those moments where we really felt we were making something kind of crazy, is that there's a scene of like a skeleton wearing this crazy orange makeup and a Russian fur hat standing in a sewer next to a white alligator. It's like, that feels right. But thanks for your question.
You fight like a cow.
Wait, that's the... You issued a comeback, and I had not even yet got a chance to insult you, so that's totally not fair. Have you ever heard that the first draft of all the insults in Monkey Island were written by Orson Scott Card? That's true. So Orson Scott Card was friends with a lot of people who worked at Lucasfilm. Do you know Orson Scott Card? He wrote Ender's Game, and yeah, thanks. And he's a science fiction author that's known for not writing the insults in Monkey Island, but he did write the first draft of them. And then later, his son was like 11 years old when that happened, but later he became my Facebook friend. He's like, I just want you to know I wrote that cow line, not my dad.
Hi, Tim. First,
hello.
I'd like to say it's an honor. You're kind of my hero.
You're my hero.
No, you are.
You are. Right now, you're my hero.
I wanted to ask you 2 questions. Then I looked left and wanted to ask you a third one. Did you notice Manny over there?
Ah! God, that's one of those things that if I just noticed during my talk, I would have screamed just like that.
Okay.
Hey, Manny, how's it going? Is it time? Okay, I'll stretch it. Yeah. So after these more questions, because afterwards I have to go face my travel agent.
Yeah. Second question: would you and Lee sign my?
Yeah. I'm gonna take a picture of that. Keep talking.
Yeah. Could you?
Would I what?
Could you sign my Brutal Legend?
I will totally sign your Brutal Legend.
Okay.
But wait, maybe like after all the questions.
Yeah, after questions.
I'm just gonna take this question. Oh, maybe this would be better as a vine. Go ahead.
My last question. I'm trying to start developing games on my own. I've had very little experience, and so I'd like to know what would your advice be for someone who's just starting out?
Well, it depends if you, do you program, holy shit, it's Manny Calvera. What kind of background are you coming from? Are you a programmer or an artist or designer?
I'm a pretty competent developer. I don't have any studies, but I think I'd be more interested in working on the design part, the game design part. More like your job.
Oh, well, if you're going after my job, I would give you the advice of find people smarter than you and stay out of their way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, making a lot of prototypes and demos and showing your work. It depends if you're not trying to get a job somewhere. You're saying actually make a game. Then I think you have the great position of being independent right now and hopefully staying independent, because I've been 5 years trying to take a company that was dependent on publishers and turning it independent. So that's a big, as they say, a big battleship to turn. But you're in a position where you're able to fund your own stuff, and you can potentially just make a lot more money and invest that into your next game. So I would not chase other people's money is what I would advise you to do.
Okay, thanks.
I'm gonna post my Vine right now. That was awesome. Thanks for being part of that.
Hi, Jim.
Yes.
Honored to meet you. Now, a few weeks ago, I finished Full Throttle with my girlfriend on our PS3, because that's what we do with our consoles here. And what I like the most about the game is how well the game aged. I mean, apart from the graphics, obvious reasons, an interface, the story, the theme, everything works so well like nowadays. It could easily be a game that you can buy this year. So was that something you thought about when you were doing the game, or just happened? The fact that like Green Fandango also, that games are so ageless, like a classic movie.
Well, thanks. I'm glad you feel that they've aged well. I mean, like different things seem to age in totally different ways. And when I played the special edition of Monkey Island again, and I really wanted to play. I mean, I think the new art looked very pretty, but I always played it in the classic mode just because that made me feel happy. I don't know. And just,
did the same.
And it's weird because some of the pixel art is still very popular. Is like people have adopted it as a I think it. In some ways, because it's retro, it makes them think of their childhood, but also there's an aesthetic to it that's really pleasing and clean to people. And but later stuff like Grim Fandango. I mean, I think the backgrounds still look really good. Some of the 3D, that was some really early 3D art that we did, so the people are really chunky. I always thought the first 3D games were really frustrating because characters looked like they were made out of cardboard boxes that had their skin silk screened onto a nylon that was stretched over the thing, and that's why we made a game about skeletons, because they all look like anyway. I'm happy that you feel that they aged well. I guess. Thank you. Thank you.
I had a final question. You still do not endorse cat ownership?
I endorse cat ownership even less than I did in 1995. As someone who now has married into cats.
All right.
Their cats, I can just say, they're just horrible. They're just horrible things. We owe them, but not for long. Hopefully.
Thank you very much, Tim.
I like some cats, people.
Hi, Tim.
Nice shirt.
I got a question. I'm trying to make my first video game ever, and I want to know how do you handle criticism when you're making the game and when people, for example, you're testing things and they say, this is not working. How do you stop yourself from freaking out if something is not working? How do you try to figure out how to make it work?
What are you saying? How do you know when something's working in which situation?
How do you try to figure out how to make things work when, for example, you're playtesting your game and someone tells you...
How to tell if things are working in your game by playtesting?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We are actually, we're playtesting Broken Age right now. And it's something we hadn't done with the older games, maybe you can tell. But I mean, we do what was called in the old days a pizza orgy. We invite all of our friends and family to come to the office at night and eat a bunch of pizza and play the game. There's no actual orgy involved. And we would all talk about it and talk about what we liked and didn't like. And we would sometimes lend it out to a few friends to play all the way through. But now we're actually sitting behind, we put people on a couch and we sit behind them and we watch them play the game and see where they hover over with the cursor. And it's like really interesting, no matter what you plan in an adventure game, no matter what you think is super obvious, like people will, you want them to click on this door and they'll just circle all around the door with a cursor and be like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. There's just nothing to touch in this room. And then they'll hover over the door for a second and be like, no, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And so you'll be like, let's put a rim light on the door, you know? And so we sit there and we watch people, we make notes and we talk about, you know, what we can change that won't make it super obvious, but give them a little bit of a nudge in the right direction. And we do that over and over and over again with a lot of people. That's what we're doing now. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Also, can I work as a bunny at Double Fine?
What's that?
Can I work as a bunny at Double Fine?
Anybody who wants to work at Double Fine, just come on down. Yeah, we have a jobs page, and we always like to have new people there. And yeah, everyone's hired.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I'm not. Okay. Yeah.
Hey Tim, I just want to ask you about Loom. Where did that joke start? In putting
What joke? Wait, what joke?
You always said that we have to ask you about Loom or about Green Fandango.
Oh, ask me about Loom?
Yeah.
How did the Ask Me About Loom joke start? I can take credit for that one because that was my piece of programmer art. Because we were making Monkey Island and we had to wire up the dialogue for that character, and we. Do you mind if I just tap constantly on that? I'm keeping the other one, just in case. And I didn't have the art for the close-up of the character yet, and so we had all the art for Loom sitting around, and so I pulled in the character Cobb, which was drawn by Steve Purcell, and it was really great. And just to make sure everybody knew it was temporary, to make sure there was no chance it would get up in the final game, I put this button on it that said Ask Me About Loom, and then because there's a button there, I had and there's a lot of stuff in Monkey Island, especially Ron would never let us keep. You know, we'd be up in our little scum loft, me and Dave, and we'd be writing these really dumb jokes, and just to make each other laugh, and then make Ron laugh when he came upstairs, and then Ron would be, okay, that's good, that's done. I'd be like, what? No, that's programmer art, and that looks terrible, and it's ridiculous. And that's the thing I think I learned, the best lesson I learned from Ron was to not be afraid of things being terrible and ridiculous, and stupid ideas actually some of the best. Like I thought we'd replace this letter, but we shipped all that stuff, which I think it really kind of took the pressure off and allowed us to make some of the more creative decisions because we didn't think we were writing final stuff. And like I was writing the villager dialogue, and I put the line, like, look behind you, a three-headed monkey, and I thought that was temporary. And then Ron came up and he read it, and I was like, that's temporary, I'm going to change that because there's no such thing as a three-headed monkey. That would be ridiculous. And Ron's like, no, we should keep that. That's good. That's a good line. I was like, really? He goes, yeah, we should, you know what? We should have Steve draw a three-headed monkey and have a three-headed monkey actually come out. I was like, this is my worst nightmare. So learning to not be afraid of stupid ideas was, I think, the greatest education I got on those games. So thanks for your question.
I'm back again.
Hola. Oh, this is going to be a long one. Okay.
Now that EA own the rights to produce games based on LucasArts IPs, would you consider to work for them if they offered you a position alongside Ron Gilbert, or would you give them any creative advice?
For what company?
Electronic Arts.
Would I work for Electronic Arts?
If they offered you a position alongside Ron Gilbert.
If they offer me a position alongside what? This is okay. First of all, I'm always interested in crazy fan worlds.
Karma.
What I said was I am always interested in crazy fantasy worlds, which is obviously this one that you're creating here, where Ron Gilbert and I would work at EA together. This would be a lot of fun. But I assume, okay, would our salaries be like $10 million a year?
Probably.
$10 million a year. That's really tempting. It doesn't seem that, it doesn't seem, I mean, no.
Okay.
Because I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with working for EA. A lot of great people work for EA. I'm just saying once you've been an employee and then wanted to be independent, it's hard to imagine going back to that. So probably not. Although it would be fun. And it would pay for a second bathroom, so I'd have to talk about it with my wife. Thanks.
Hello. First of all, thanks for being here and chatting with us. I have a pretty large question. That is, you already had a really great CV when you had founded in Double Fine. Have better SDKs and groups and equip and make a team to work within games. But the thing is, with smaller developers, with smaller teams that doesn't have any kind of recognition and have any access to these SDKs or even resources to make a full-fledged game, what kind of advice you can give about piracy? Because the only way they have to develop is for PC, because you cannot make an entrance, especially here in Argentina, to make a PS3 game, an Xbox 360 game at launch, because you have to pay a lot of money, and nobody here in Argentina is at disposal to give that amount of money. So in PC, you have a great risk of piracy, they say. So I wanted to ask you about that. How did you get affected about piracy on PC, alongside Monkey Island, I mean, and how you can walk through about that?
So what would you do if you were starting a company and you didn't have 10 years of LucasArts behind you and everyone was going to pirate whatever you made?
Yeah.
Oh man, that sounds tough.
Sorry, I have the idea in my mind. I want to ask you.
Because I had to be almost kicked out of LucasArts before I started my own company. It takes a lot of guts to start your. Having that 10 years really did. It made it possible to happen for sure. But I still didn't. In those days, it was not like when the internet can make you super famous. In that way, it was not like I was so well known. I still had to. I went to GDC and I just. It sounds weird to say I've negotiated with Ed Freeze in a bathroom, but like I was at a party and the guy running Xbox, they're just launching. I was so lucky they were just launching the Xbox, and he was in the restroom and I was in the restroom, and just a deal was made. But it really was about kind of going to these events where a lot of people were gathered and finding out who was actually signing stuff. Back when I was interested in signing stuff, if I was doing it now. Towards the piracy thing, I don't know. We found out with the Kickstarter was that people will pay for things that they feel good about paying for, and if you make it easy for them to pay for it. So if you have some way for them to almost contribute to your game as opposed to putting a bunch of DRM into it, people will often, if they like your story, if they feel that you're someone who they want to see more work from, that's when they will give money to you through something like Kickstarter or something else that you're doing. As far as how to get, things that have replaced the traditional way of getting known, about getting press in a magazine, has kind of been replaced by some social media type things and, Reddit and things like that, where you can make a name for yourself by putting yourself out there for free. And I'll try and think about that some more, because it is a tough situation. I feel like I had it a lot easier than what you guys are facing now, except for the secret to me is always to make any game that you're able to make, whether it's just you working in some pre-existing engine, making that game and being able to show that to people is the best chance that you have in sharing that with people, for sure.
Yeah, one little quote, one little thing. Do you miss Ron Gilbert?
What?
Working with Ron
Do I
Gilbert.
miss Ron Gilbert? Every day I miss Ron Gilbert and his grumpy little face. Because sometimes the office is super cheerful and everyone's whistling and I'm like, I wish Ron were here. Bring this down just a little. He's only grumpy when you're looking at him. Yeah. I know, because I just had lunch with Ron. So, no. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hello.
Just something funny. I don't know if you pick up the guys who rant about, let's say this was a scam, but you censored the names, but One of them was an Argentinian indie, and we all know him.
Was an Argentinian what?
Indie. So we know him because of the
Oh,
avatar.
Daniel.
He's here. I don't know if he's
Wait,
not here.
which name are you talking about?
One of the guys that were ranting about being scammed, you know. That
right.
Yeah, it's fun because he's much. He's not so rude when you know him in person. Don't worry. The question is this one.
I didn't cite anyone, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, don't worry. Just joking. We've been discussing for 10 days, 15 days about how hard it is. Well, we all understand about we don't want to take care of the toilet paper and the printer paper. We all understand about being in one of the binds and trying to reach the other ones. I think that most of us, or a lot of us, are doing a living on video games. I'm dressed with video game money. One of my partners is raising 2 kids with video game money. So we are doing pretty decent, but we've been discussing how much would help to be born at the north or at the south of the Ecuador. United States, if there is any difference from maybe being a game developer from here, from Argentina, or being a game developer from the UK or from the US, and what is your vision? Because some of us, we are saying that at least we are not on Morocco or the Congo, that will be hard, but some others say, okay, but if we were on the stage, it will be much easier and we will get more exposure. So what is your opinion on that issue?
I feel kind of not smart enough to answer that question because I don't know necessarily what it's like in any other place.
I only want your vision from outside. You know, we know our vision from here, but how do you see it from the States?
Yeah, I definitely think it should be possible to do this kind of stuff anywhere. I mean, only this week have I started to learn about some of the special challenges in different countries, especially Argentina, like what special things are faced here. And but I always feel that there must be some way around it. I mean, I know about Daniel and his games, and he can't be that much smarter than you. I mean, look, he's. But I mean, I feel like there are just a ton of probably obstacles that I don't even know about that it'd be hard to advise on what to do about them, except for that, you know, the world's a lot more connected now, and there seems like there should be some way to get to, you know, a much wider audience than it was in the old days. And so if you make a great game, whether it's in Flash or in a browser or anything like that, people can see it and find it for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll think of a better answer later, and I'll put it on the videotape, and it'll look like I answered that question really well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi there, Tim. So I wanted to know, I know you said something about this during your speech, but what do you think about sequels? You know, because I've recently read from a developer's blog that sequels are like, they have this recipe, you know, they usually use parts they got for the first game and they use it again. Do you think that's the best way to do it, or is like something that they use the big companies?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done too many sequels, and there's some really bad things about them, but there's also some really great things about them. Like, I'd love to make a sequel to a lot of our games because we can make it better and fix all the things that we wanted to fix the first time around.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we could do a better version of almost every game that we've made and really nail some of the things. But we always move on because it's just, you know, the kind of company we are. We have these more ideas that we want to do.
Yeah,
and it's when you look at, like, if we had made another Monkey Island game, we wouldn't have made Day of the Tentacle. If we had made a sequel to Day of the Tentacle, we wouldn't have made Full Throttle. And if we had made sequel to Full Throttle, which they really wanted to do at LucasArts, then I wouldn't have made Grim Fandango, and on and on. So I really don't have an answer to that question because sometimes it would be great to make a sequel, but I feel like in the end, if you have an idea for a new game, then that's like a really rare thing to have, and you should go with that because someday those ideas probably will stop, and then you can go back and make a bunch of sequels.
Maybe like Activation, I don't know, Call of Duty 10?
But we did, I mean, we made a sequel to, I mean, Day of the Tentacle was a sequel, and Happy Action Theater, we made a sequel called Connect Party, which I think we made better than the first game, so yeah, I've done one, so there you go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello there.
Hello.
I have a couple of questions. The first one, seeing the success of the Slackerback initiative on Broken Age, would you consider do the same with Massive Chalice, your latest Kickstarter?
Wait, are you saying would I do another Kickstarter or?
No, if you will pay a PayPal and the Slackerbacker on Massive Chalice.
Wait, I think I didn't understand what you're saying. So.
Sorry, my English is.
Nice
So
slide.
he's asking if for Okay, so are they going to be able to pay through PayPal for your latest Kickstarter for Massive Chalice?
For a Massive Chalice.
Wait, so what was the question?
So after the Kickstarter, are they going to be able to pay through PayPal for Massive Chalice?
See, if you can pay in the Slackerbacker as a humble bundle, that you pay more than the average, you could back up Broken Age, right?
If you, I'm sorry, I really don't understand why I'm not understanding this question.
I understand. My ideas are actually wrong. Seeing the, yeah.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
Yeah.
I think I'm just having trouble hearing with the audio.
Sorry, later I go person on that.
But Nicholas, was it, do you know? Thanks for backing, if you backed it. I'm sorry, I couldn't understand your question. If you talk to me afterwards, I'll totally answer your question, I promise. And I know we're going long, I don't want anyone to miss their bus if they have one, so don't feel guilty about leaving right now, because you can totally leave. I'm just gonna hang out as long as there are questions, though. Hello?
Hi, I don't speak English.
Oh, sorry, then we're even.
Como ve, soy la más vieja del auditorio.
As you can see, she's the oldest woman in the auditorium.
Because soy
I
la
wouldn't
madre,
have guessed that. I really wouldn't have guessed that.
porque soy la madre de un futuro famosísimo diseñador de videojuegos. Futuro, ¿no?
Because she's the mother of a future famous game designer.
Y realmente es un honor conocer a uno de los ídolos de mi hijo, quien ha disfrutado muchísimo horas de sus juegos.
And it's really an honor for her to know one of her son's idols. And her son enjoyed a lot of your games.
Mi pregunta es, ¿ha dejado a través de su carrera muchos trabajos inconclusos sin terminar?
So the question is, throughout your career, have you left lots of unconcluded work, like things you didn't finish?
Yeah, I've definitely started more projects than I've finished. There's games that we've gotten all the way to prototype state and then abandoned. And there's some games that I would like to go back to and maybe make, but there's a part of me that always feels like, you know, a game that didn't happen, maybe it didn't happen for a reason. Like maybe if it was really meant to be, I would have fought for it more. So I'm always a little scared to go back to old projects, but sometimes if you can find out that reason why it didn't happen, you can change it and make that idea come to life. But really, I feel like usually it's better to keep moving forward to new ideas. Thanks for your question.
Hi.
Hello.
After working many years on many full products, you released Middle Manager of Justice, a free-to-play game. So I was wondering, what did you learn from that process? Because it's really different from the other games.
Yeah, Middle Manager of Justice was our first mobile game that we made with our angel partner, Dracogen, and it was our first free-to-play game, and we were really excited about free-to-play because it seemed like a great way to stay with a project after it ships, because that problem of never being able to make a game better after it ships is tough. So if we actually found a way to make money that would fund further development on the game, it sounded really appealing to me. When we were actually making it, it was really hard for us, for everyone in the company, to actually implement the kind of things that you seem to need to do to make money off of free-to-play, like those points where you need to really pinch players and like get money out, like shake the money out of them. We just weren't willing to do, and so we didn't really make we didn't really, I really am proud of that game. I think it was a great game, and we didn't really manage to shake too much money out of people while they were playing, because it just felt wrong to have those moments. I think we're definitely have less of a crush on free-to-play after that experience. But I think people have done it in interesting ways, and we could have figured it out. But doing things like early access with Space Base, and we found that there are other ways to kind of have that perpetual improvement on your game. So we did learn a lot. We might try it again someday. Yeah, thanks.
Hi, Tim.
Hello.
So I read on Twitter a few weeks or a couple of months ago that you were playing Earthbound, you know, the Nintendo game.
I'm still playing Earthbound.
Still playing it, okay. So I was wondering what you like best about it, and maybe if you found any ideas worth borrowing for your future games.
What was the last thing you said?
If you found any ideas in Earthbound worth borrowing for your future games.
I'd always heard a lot of high fantasy world. It's set in like a bunch of kids in a suburb walking around beating dogs with their bats and stuff, and just an unusual setting. And I love that so much, because I think there are so many different settings that we could put games in other than what we were the standard places that video games get put. And it was such a break, and it had so many just small moments of humor all through it, just little unique, crazy moments that I really enjoyed playing it. And when I'm out of riding crunch mode on Broken Age, I'll go back and finish it. Thanks. Hello, Melee Island.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. Question is, do you like my t-shirt?
I do like your t-shirt.
One for you.
Oh yeah, one for me.
Free.
That's the best. Wait, it's pink?
Sorry?
3. Oh, 3. That's awesome. I do like that shirt a lot. Well, thank you.
Little. After I give you
after. We'll do
one game.
after. We'll do a sizing.
Okay.
We'll do it. I'll rip my shirt off after.
Hi.
Stick around.
Hola.
Hola.
Mine is just an homage to you. I'm thirsty. I don't think you should drink that. It looks bad for you. Nonsense. It makes me feel great. Smarter. More aggressive. I feel like I could. Like I could. Like I could. Take on the world. Gracias.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Someday the live performance of that will happen on the stage, and it'll be amazing.
So this is the final question. Sorry.
Yep. No, good. I was just singing.
Okay. If you want, I can leave you singing. If you want to sing, you can sing. You know?
Oh.
Okay. So this guy, this is the last question.
Last question.
Yeah. So he's asking if you ever thought about taking Grim Fandango to the movies with a director like Tim Burton.
Would I ever take a Grim Fandango to the movies, and then what was the last part?
Yeah, like make a movie from Grim Fandango. Actor, for example, like Tim Burton.
Steve Martin.
Tim Burton, you know, from Tim Burton.
Oh, Tim Burton. Okay. Grim Fandango is now owned by the ghost of Walt Disney, so I'm legally not able to make a Grim Fandango movie. I hope you're not clapping because Walt Disney's dead. I hope that's not what that. But no, I don't. I'm not at liberty to make that movie. I mean, I think people sometimes ask if I'm interested in making any of the games into movies, and I think movies are great, but I like games better. I think games are an art form that I'm most interested in. So I feel like while you could make a movie out of maybe any of them, I think it's a different genre, and anything that you can express in a movie, I just feel like you can express better in a game. So for now, I think the game's first. Yeah. Maybe later, when I'm tired, I'll make a movie, because I'm sure they're easier, right? They're just cut, like a few cutscenes, right? Just one long cutscene, right? Super easy.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking all the questions, everybody, and thanks for, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.